We passed legislation in Florida saying Florida does not recognize WHO dictates, whether it's the lockdown treaty or anything else. Now that President Trump's in, I don't think it's got legs at this point, or at least we hope it doesn't. You'll have like some like 14-year-old girl that needs some type of medical procedure, and she'll go in, and if she hasn't gotten a flu shot or a COVID jab, then they won't see her, and they won't do the surgery. And I'm thinking to myself, how insane is that? Kind of the state of Florida's efforts to continue to promote policies that are linked to medical freedom. You know, they say make America healthy again, the MAHA. We were doing that before anyone was even talking about it in Florida, and that's just the truth. There's a broader context here, what's going on. And one of the engines for, I think, a lot of bad policy was the World Health Organization, WHO. And at the time Biden was president, they were working on this lockdown treaty. They call it a pandemic treaty, but basically it would have taken sovereignty from the U.S. and other countries and vested it in a unelected, whatever it is, organization funded by the CCP mainly, and then somehow they would be issuing edicts that are going to affect our health and freedom. No, not on my watch. And so we passed legislation in Florida saying Florida does not recognize WHO dictates, whether it's the lockdown treaty or anything else. Now that President Trump's in, I don't think it's got legs at this point, or at least we hope it doesn't. And so that's very good that we were able to win that battle. But they're always trying to do more and more stuff, and we're making sure that we're doing everything we can to be able to support the people. Now, you also have things like, and this is just crazy, you'll have like some like 14-year-old girl that needs some type of medical procedure, and she'll go in, and if she hasn't gotten a flu shot or a COVID jab, then they won't see her, and they won't do the surgery. And I'm thinking to myself, how insane is that you're not willing to treat somebody? So some of these policies that have been put in place in some of these medical institutions are insane. So we said in Florida in legislation, no, like if you need a lung transplant or something, you know, they can't say, well, we'll only do it if you do the COVID shot. It's irrational. It's not based on any evidence to be doing that. But that's something that's really, really important to me. So we've done a lot over the years to really, I think, be on the right side of fighting against the hysteria. The reality is these elites, they just lost their way. I think some of them just probably didn't really know what they were doing, but I think others really saw that they were getting power for the first time in their lives. This was kind of the Super Bowl for them, and they wanted to use that for all they could. And they really abused their positions of trust that so many had placed into them. And I think the credibility of so many of these institutions and so many of these, it's done. Just totally up in flames over how they handled the COVID-19 pandemic. And so Joe Ladapo has been great. I think he's probably the only Surgeon General who during COVID said, the mask isn't going to save you, that was willing to say, all kids should be in school, that was willing to say kids should not be taking mRNA shots, all the things that really cut against the medical establishment. And I think on every instance he's been proven right on that. But, it takes courage to do that. There's a lot of professional blowback that happens when you stand up and do what's right. So that has kind of, I think, crystallized for so many people, hey, there's a lot of issues that we got to deal with medical. And medical freedom is something that we've got to be very conscientious about protecting, especially given how we've seen so many elites lose their way. So Joe Ladapo, myself, the First Lady, we've been pushing on a lot of different fronts to be able to continue to advance the ball. We have great announcement today, regarding kind of the state of Florida's efforts to continue to promote policies that are linked to medical freedom. They say make America healthy again, the MAHA. We were doing that before anyone was even talking about it in Florida, and that's just the truth. And so some of our guiding principles are, one, information given to individuals where then they can make an informed decision should be the bedrock of how we function in terms of health and medicine. Informed consent is the touchstone for everything that goes on in this area of American life. And what flows from that also is the primacy of parents to be able to direct health decisions for their minor children. The reality is each individual parent has different views, different children may have different needs, and we ought to be empowering parents rather than trying to take away the rights of parents. And one of the things I think is very destructive that's happened more recently is this practice of these pediatricians who will not see kids unless they take all of these shots, and it's just, that's not right. And it's like you think about it, it's like there's been an effort, and I think COVID really exposed it, to say you have to do this. And if you say why, well, you just have to. Okay, well, what's the research show? What do the trials show? What do all this show? And I think about something like a newborn baby. Do they need that hepatitis shot? It's like what's the rationale for it? I mean, we know how you can get that. Okay, so a baby needs that, and then if they do it, are there drawbacks for it? And usually they just tell you there's never a drawback for anything. Let me tell you, anything you take could have a potential drawback. I mean, that's just the reality. So we really want transparency. We want people to be able to make the best decisions that they can. But some of this stuff, if you look back when I was growing up, what they would recommend now, they're recommending like way more stuff for this. And so I think a lot of parents, what they want is they want to be able, you only get one shot at raising kids, right? And you want to make the best decisions that you can. And what you don't want to do is to do anything. My view is unless there's a really clear reason to put something in, then I wouldn't do it, right? I mean, that's just the way kind of I am. If you don't just say, well, maybe it'll help you. No, I mean, does it help you or not? And you should have that. You should be very clear in all that stuff. So we want to do that. So informed consent, making sure we're protecting parents' rights, and then also just being willing to challenge medical orthodoxy that's not supported by the data. And there's a lot of data out there that's proven certain medical interventions are effective. Great. We love to see it. I mean, we've made great strides in treating different things, but you also have a lot of stuff that gets put out there that if you peel back the onion, okay, what's the basis for that? And COVID showed that tremendously. I mean, literally, they were doing studies about masks where they would say, well, this barber was here, this person was here, this person didn't have COVID, this person did. One had a mask, one didn't. And it's like, that's not a study, guys. That's an anecdote. And yet they would put that out, and the media would run it. CDC study shows masks are effective or whatever. And they weren't real studies. They weren't real clinical trials. So we know kind of the tricks on this, and we want to make sure that we're exposing this. And so I'm happy here to be here today to make the first announcement, and Joe Ladapo is going to make another announcement. But today I'm pleased to announce the establishment of the Florida MAHA Commission as a working group which will recommend state-level integration of these Make America Healthy principles. And those principles are, as I mentioned, individual medical freedom, informed consent, parent rights, and also market innovation.